Dorothy Walker. The date is October 13th, 2009. The interviewer is Brenda Hepler. All right, Dorothy. Just the first question for everybody is, what are your best childhood memories of libraries?
I was very lucky to have libraries in my life all from as early I can remember, and I guess the earliest one is in San Rafael, where we grew up, and they had a special library room that was just for children, and we would go and sit for hours and the librarian helped pick out.
And so, were there any favorite books you liked growing up?
Oh, I don't suppose that I could remember exactly, but I know I went through the entire Nancy Drew series and a whole series on women biographies and a lot of historical novels, very romantic.
And you grew up then in San Rafael?
For the most part. I didn't get to Lafayette until 8th grade.
Oh,
so, that was barely 8th grade, only 3 weeks left. And so high school is really where my roots are.
And Acalanes?
At Acalanes, indeed.
And what awareness of community did you have growing up here at that time?
I don't think I had a lot. We were involved in the school activities, and my brother had, his Cub Scouts or something, and I just was involved in high school activities. My mother and father would participate as needed.
Yeah. And your education after Acalanes?
I went on to the University of California, Berkeley.
And then your work experience after that?
Well, after that, I left Lafayette and went on to do a little traveling with my husband, and then had a child. And so my interest became early childhood education, and I took a degree in, I got an extra degree in early childhood administration and was a school teacher or a preschool teacher, I should say.
In Lafayette?
No, in Berkeley.
Oh, in Berkeley. Oh.
So that was kind of a fun experience.
Yeah.
And it, of course, took all the children to the library for the children's reading there for special occasions.
And what awareness of community, or what did you participate in community activities at that early time of your marriage in Berkeley? Were you involved in Berkeley community
No,
activities?
but again, it was all to do with my daughter's activities and so forth.
And teaching.
And yes, and eventually I ended up teaching.
Yeah. And what attracted you to Lafayette?
Well, I had an opportunity to return to my family's home when my mother moved on to Rossmore. So it was the right time at the right place.
And
so
when did that happen?
That was in 89.
Oh, so you've been here almost 20
Yes,
years.
indeed. 20 years it is.
Yeah, okay.
And in fact, it has been 20 years. But of course, since my parents were still here, I knew what was going on, kind of, in the general sense.
And the house is what attracted you back to
Yes,
Lafayette.
well, it was, again, the right time and place and dollars.
Defining the goals of community as a place of mutual support, shared values, and the acceptance of difference. How do you see Lafayette meeting these goals? So, in shared values, acceptance of difference, and mutual support.
Well, I would say that the community is rooted in asking for participation. I worked for a time, volunteered on the Trail and Sidewalks Commission for probably 6 or 7 years. And the whole purpose of that was to get public input. And we held monthly meetings, and then I went on to be on the Circulation Commission, and again, more public meetings and input, and got involved in the what's it called, where the over general plan for the city, and I participated in that. And again, process, the inclusion of anyone and everyone who is interested is just in the very fabric of the city. And I don't know how to express it otherwise. I mean, there are multiple ways to get involved, and multiple forums to express your interests and opportunities.
Okay, what about acceptance of difference?
Well, I
After
think
being in Berkeley.
I think, again, this openness, they just take all sides, ask for all kinds of opinions and whatever, and they're take them with equanimity and accept, and they bring in a lot of outside consultants too, to have kind of a perspective that then you can hang your hat on, so to speak, to acknowledge what other places have done, and to see if that can be incorporated as well.
This whole concept of participation, this is very interesting to me. Did you feel that value in the city when you were in high school, or did you hear your mother express anything along those lines back at the time?
No, I don't, again,
because that was that in the 50s, 60s, early 60s?
Yeah, we came at the end of, came in 1956.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't think that there was that much happening then in terms, because of course we weren't incorporated. So it wasn't until 68 that the city became incorporated. So a couple of years before that would have been the time when there was a lot. And I know my mother did participate in some of those early meetings around whether this, whether we should incorporate or not.
And perhaps then, am I hearing you that the incorporation perhaps spurred people?
I'm sure it did, because, that was the time when, you talked about taxes, which is our, how that would impact people. And of course, that was also the time when the freeway was going through. So I think a lot of people were hyper aware of impacts. They were hoping, Mount Diablo was busy, and they were hoping that the freeway was going to alleviate it, and then of course it didn't quite.
Well, maybe for a while.
Yeah, maybe for a while.
Yes, okay, so that is great. And
just to finish up on my mother involvement, and then early in about that time, she was working in the library, and she, with a number of other people, formed the group that later became the Historical Society.
I see. So she was the founder of the Historical Society?
I don't know that she was a founder, but she was on the committee that right. She's not. Her name isn't on the document that incorporates, but she participated for years in doing all of the work.
So I'm sure you must have heard some things.
Oh, it filtered out, but of course I was with a young child and my own career, and so I don't know that it was. So do you have any memories of using the Lafayette Library when you were going to high school? Well, it was still the little tiny one when we got here. I mean, I think very shortly thereafter it was moved on. So I think the library that I really used was the Acalanes Library, as far as I can.
And have you had use of the library that much now that you're an adult in the
Oh,
last
I
20
use
years?
it all the time.
Yeah.
It is my recreation and joy to find new things.
Yeah. And how do you feel a library serves a community?
It's just integral to how people get information, and it's a meeting place. I go in at least once, if not twice a week, and you just see how the students are using the facilities, how so many adults, and the age range is phenomenal in terms of people using now the computers, access to information. The library staff is phenomenal in helping and responding, and I just think people know how to find stuff, and that's where they go.
And have you been involved in the library over the years, or do you remember more Historical Society?
Always with the Historical Society. I am aware of the different programs that are put on there, and I have gone to those from time to time, but I'm pretty much focused on the Historical Society.
I know in the new library there's going to be a place for the Historical Society. Is there a place in the library now for the Historical
There
Society?
was at one point, but then it's an area where the teen room is. The librarians were very gracious and offered us a place to keep our photographs and so forth. And then about maybe 5 years ago, we were offered other space when they just grew
Yeah.
and needed more space. So
Okay, that's great. Have you been involved with any other community organizations in Lafayette besides the Historical Society? And
not really.
But now you're participating in the beginning, though, with some other things like roads or...
Oh, well, that was a city commission.
Oh.
Both of the there were two commissions. One evolved, the sidewalks and trails
Yes.
evolved into the circulation commission.
I see.
They redesigned
I
it.
see.
So that's pretty much the only other organization, so to speak, that I've dealt with.
Yeah, okay.
I was on the Sesquicentennial Committee, but that was related to the Historical Society as well.
Okay. And what do you remember about the new library in 1962? You had left for college at
Yeah,
that
I
point.
was gone, so I
Yeah.
don't really have any sense of it.
Okay, so let's go on to this new, when we wrote this out, it was the 2008 library. Now it's the 2009. I better change that. The 2009
Yes,
library. Okay.
we've been disappointed, but in some ways we're very glad that it's taken a little more time. We need to organize.
Yeah, right. Were you involved at all in the early development of the
No,
library? No,
I did not.
Okay.
Members of the Historical Society, of course, were very prominent in insisting that there be a space in the new library. And that was Marshall Duncan in particular, Ruth Dyer, and I think a couple of other people. George Wasson, who is on our board.
They get the...
We're consistently at city council meetings when things were discussed and requested that.
So why is this new library important to you?
Well, in my capacity as the president of the historical, it's a home. Finally, after 40 years of going from place to place, we finally have a spot that we can call our own, which we hope to organize and be a real asset to the community. We've been documenting all this time, how the city has grown, mostly through photographs, but we also will be having some artifacts, and I think we'll just be another source of information as the library is. We're going to hopefully have speakers about our community growth and the kinds of things that happen here. And I think it'll just give people a more sense of place.
This is just a question that came to mind. How do you see the average person in Lafayette participating in any way or interfacing with the Historical Society in the library? I mean, you've talked about speakers and photographs. Any other
Well, we're going to provide walking tours, which we have done in the past, and of course, it's always done for the third graders. But we have walking tours of the cemetery and of downtown. There are a number of historic sites that have been plaqued, so to speak, that document the history of, like the Pony Express stopped here a couple of times. You know, the grist mill was originally very important for all of this part of the county. Farmers would bring their things to Lafayette, and it was kind of a crossroads in some ways.
Was Lafayette in the early days more of a community of sort, you know, farming community of over Orinda or Walnut Creek, or?
I don't know whether I can make that determination, but I know that like the town hall was a central community social hall, and people came from the Oakland side of the hills once the train was here, and they came out for dances that lasted all night and so forth. So, you know, it was a community space that drew people from all over.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And so, I mean, you've basically been connected with the library through the Historical Society.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think that's how
yes.
I'd say.
And as within your role, in connection with your role with the Historical Society, what have you enjoyed most in participating in the Historical Society relative to the new library?
Well, it's just the excitement. I am just thrilled, and I know my board is as well. The idea that we can really do something for the community now that we've got a space, and we can show who we are as a community, who we are as an organization, and be open to what the community needs are in the future by continuing to document what's going on.
And I would just like to reiterate one point you made also, the concept of a sense of place.
I hope so. I mean, I think it's a really unique place. We've made, you know, some conscious decisions to stay a small community, and by not having high rises and that sort of thing. And so I think those are choices that the community has made, and I think that's reflected in how we've collected the items and choose to portray ourselves, and hopefully the Historical Society will do the same.
Were there any obstacles along the way or challenges? You know?
Well, again, I'm not a longtime member of the Historical Society, but certainly challenges abound. You have to keep your enthusiasm up, and especially without having a place to show your thing. But I think technology has helped us a little bit too. Now, digitized photos, we can go out to other to people in the community, bringing our digitizer so we can scan photos from the family album, so they don't even have to give up their precious mementos, and so we will have a better record now. And of course, we've had oral histories in the past, and I think it's just going to come together. And I'm
Yes,
really.
yes, yes.
pleased.
What has been maybe your most rewarding experiences of being part of the Historical Society, or just yourself and this new library?
Well, the reward will be when we open open the door for the first time. I don't know, I think just looking for, anticipating what we can do and provide, and really show us how much work the group has been doing all these years, I think will be a real thrill.
And which of your values are touched in this whole process? What values of yours are hit the hardest in this library development?
Well, I'm kind of at a loss. I just take pride in the community. I think it's a wonderful place. I really grew up here, so to speak, and I think the city continues to make an effort, and so value, I don't know, pride is not quite considered a value, but it's just, the community has meanings. I feel like I have roots, and I think this, the history room will provide that anchor for others as well, to know that they've come to a place that has lasted. We're over, 160 years old now, I think, and so it's important to know where you come from.
What transformation have you seen in Lafayette relative to the new library? In other words, have you seen any changes in people you've met, or how people think about the town of Lafayette since this new library campaign and the realization of the library actually being there?
I have spread the word because I am thrilled, and some of the people that I've talked to are surprised about the effort that the Friends of the Library have put in. Their own $1 million has just been amazing, and so I think that speaks volumes to those people that I've talked to, that a community would come together and do as much as they have, and I think they are very impressed.
Have you seen any increase in community involvement relative to this new library?
Well, I think we've shown a small increase in our own membership, and I don't know that necessarily is a one-to-one thing, but we are definitely out in recruiting, and I would say that everybody that I've ever come across is ready for it to open up.
And what is the most exciting to you outside of the new site, the Historical Society? Let's get off that for a moment.
Oh.
Darn, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the most exciting to you about the new Lafayette Library?
I think the space, how they are trying to be inclusive of so many interests. The science lab, the consortium, whole idea of just bringing people to the community from outside to expand our interests and have information again available. I love the idea of the computers in the room. I like the children's idea of and a small garden. I mean, my goodness, that's unheard of as far as I can imagine. It's just phenomenal, I guess, that there's so much available in one place, and a place that everybody can access.
And why do you think the citizens of Lafayette have responded so enthusiastically to this new project?
Because, one, because the old library is just not with it, and two, because it's a community building, and it's going to be more than just a library, and it's a matter of pride, because we really don't have a city hall, that sort of thing, any real space that Lafayette can call its own until now. And so I think that's going to really, it is, what a space.
Mm-hmm. And what outcome do you hope for most with the new library?
Just that it's used to its potential. I mean, I don't see how it can fail. There's just a pent-up interest, momentum. I think all things will come to those who even remotely are interested. There'll be something there for everyone, I'm just quite sure.
How do you think it will affect and enhance our sense of community?
I don't see how it cannot. Again, it's downtown. It's right where everybody. It's at a crossroad, and one of the main exits to and from the city. It already is a striking building, and I think it will just show people what Lafayette can do, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, whatever programs are involved will just bring people there. Parking wonderfully will add a lot to bringing people in, too. I think that's another wonderful thing, yeah. I have to say.
Yeah, I think I agree. And is there anything else you would like to add, or any stories that you might?
I know. I was at a loss when I saw that question. Just that we're very pleased with the city fathers think that that history is really important to the community, and we'll hope to fulfill that trust that they have in us.
Oh, that's great. Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.